Well, for the first time in 2016, good morning. Welcome to our kickoff show for the new year. I hope you brought 2015 to a successful close and are off and running as we kick off another one. Are you into New Year's resolutions? Have you made any for this year? If getting in better shape is one of your goals, we have some information that will help. It all starts right now.
From TV6, this is The Ryan Report. Now, here's your host, Don Ryan.
So, have you made any New Year's resolutions this year? If you think this is the time when you should consider improving your physical fitness and possibly losing some weight, you're not alone. Consider these statistics. The highest proportion of overweight people live in the United States. According to one analysis, an estimated 160 million Americans are either obese or overweight. That includes nearly 3/4 of us men and more than 60% of women. The numbers are also high for kids, totaling nearly 30% of boys and girls under age 20. Well, joining us this morning to talk about New Year's resolutions, fitness, weight loss, and all those things we resolve to deal with at the beginning of each year is Mike Koskaniemi. Mike has been involved in fitness for over 25 years. He's a personal trainer, he's a group exercise instructor, nutrition specialist, and more. He's also the owner of Motions Fitness in Marquette. Mike, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Let's give people a little background on you, first of all, before we get to that serious business of resolutions. You're a Yooper by birth, I think?
I am. I'm a hometown kid, born and raised in Marquette, and I'm lucky enough to have my business and family here now, too.
Okay. You, I understand that this has really been kind of almost a lifelong interest for you. How did you really get started?
I got started the day I turned 12, so it was on my 12th birthday. And back then, they said they wanted kids to start once they hit into puberty. So the doctors and the physicians picked an age of 12, and I wanted to start actually earlier. But I waited till that 12th birthday, and on that was my first full body workout. And from there, it kind of snowballed. My parents looked for a professional for me to work with, a trainer of sorts, because there was really nothing of that type in the world. So then after that, I just got started on my studies. Once we couldn't find anyone, I just dove into books. When we went on vacations, I would go to different facilities and check them out and see what people were doing. And I was just really inquisitive, and I wanted better solutions and better outcomes.
At that point, was it more like strength kind of fitness that you were focusing on as a young boy, really?
Yeah, this is the 80s, so it's been really cool. I mean, fitness is only 40 years new. So in the 80s, we were only learning things from bodybuilders. That's all we had. So it was really strength-based, hypertrophy-based. And then as we moved into the 90s, we started, questioning things like, how come we're getting bigger, faster, stronger, but injuries also chasing it is also going up? And that's when we got into the functional age. And then as we went from the 90s into the 2000s, that's when we started to look at things at even a deeper level in terms of fascia and how the body and the mechanics work. So where we are today is just phenomenal.
And how did you actually get into the business of physical fitness?
It just kind of rolled with how I was progressing from a bodybuilder to an exercises, from an athlete. People started asking me for more advice, more direction, more guidance, and the world just came together for me.
And I imagine you've really seen a lot of evolution in that business and in your particular business as well.
I have. Fitness is the second hardest industry in the world. Restaurants are number one. So in terms of failing, fitness is number two. So I have a lot on my shoulders to take a company, to raise it, to have employees, to make sure there's security and longevity for everyone involved, from the members to the staff.
And I think a lot of people don't realize, but in your business and in others who are in your business, it's not just a one-on-one. You have a major staff to support the organization.
We do. We always have about 20 staff here in Marquette. And now we're starting to get global. We do a lot of education, certifications, mentorships around the world. Our DNA testing center is in London, England. We do some stuff in South America, South Africa. So it's really becoming a global phenomenon.
Okay, let's talk about this idea of New Year's resolutions. Now, every year at this time of year, and I've done it many times myself, people say, I'm going to resolve to do something, and it maybe never gets off the ground, or it lasts a very short time. What is the big thing? Commitment has to be a big part of this being successful.
Yeah, statistics say between 5 and 10% of people actually follow through with their resolution. But it comes down to a deeper level. I mean, we always say that at Motions, it comes down to fitness, nutrition, and psychology. And psychology is the biggest one. You have to be ready. And there's actually 5 stages of change. They start with pre-contemplation, and that's where people don't even want to talk about it, right? You're like, you bring up weight loss, and they're like, I don't even want to talk about it.
Right.
Then there's contemplation. Maybe you talk to someone about losing weight or starting to exercise, and ever since that last conversation where they yelled at you, they basically said, you know what, I've been thinking ever since you mentioned something. So now they're contemplating. And after that, they go into preparation where they're starting to prepare. Maybe they call a gym. Maybe they call a friend. Maybe they start to do something to gravitate towards a behavior change. And once the preparation is done, it's action. Now they're committed. So in terms of a resolution, whatever they're trying to resolve, they're taking action towards. After that, the final phase is maintenance. You know, achieving that resolution and then maintaining it as long as you can.
And I assume we kind of lose people at every step in that process?
You do. There's a decisional balance between the 5 stages. And it's what I call 25 to life. There's 5 stages that I just went through, and each stage takes 6 months to 5 years. So if you take the 5 years at the top end and times that by the 5 stages, that's 25 years. So really it's 25 to life. And there's a decisional balance, like I stated, which means you bounce. You could go all the way up to the action phase and maybe something terrible or tragic happened, right? Maybe someone died unexpectedly and you fall right back, you know, to pre-contemplation because you don't want to talk about anything, you're saddened by the event, and that's it. All you're focused on is what's going on at the moment. And then you start to move through the stages again.
And what can you say to people to motivate them to take that first step?
All I can do is reach my hand out. All anyone can do is reach a hand out and say, I'm here to help. You know, the stages are really a personal conflict and the struggle to fight through. So just reaching out is number one, because when someone's in pre-contemplation, I could give them any type of speech or dissertation, but they're not ready to hear it. So at that time, we just move on.
Okay. We'll talk about some more specifics of what people can do, but we're going to take a break. Back with more on the Ryan Report in just 2 minutes. Talking with Mike Koskaniemi this morning, talking about resolutions, really talking about fitness and how to get there. Well, let's say we've got some people now who are at that second stage, ready to move ahead.
Yeah.
Where do they go from there? What is the process involved?
The process is reaching out to someone, a professional, and asking for guidance. I mean, when we were born, we had a mom and dad. When we went to school, we had teachers. If we played a sport or played an instrument, we had an instructor. So we're a species that needs guidance, direction, and teaching. So to reach out to that best individual that's for your resolution and ask for help.
Now, often we hear today that people are working with a personal trainer, wherever they happen to go.
Yeah.
Is that a critical part of the process?
Yeah, you know, personal training, which is really starting to evolve, like for emotions, we are movement specialists and nutrition specialists. So we're really looking at 2 ends of the spectrum to really help people with. And I think everyone in the world at some point is going to need some sort of personal advisor, be it a personal trainer or a health coach or something like that. Something where a person has a point of reference, where they can ask a question, they can be held accountable, and then they can be guided to whatever success they're looking for.
And how does that typically work? How much time will someone spend with a personal trainer, and how much time, say, working out on their own? How does the process go?
The whole process really comes down to 2 things, time and budget. However much time someone wants to put into it and how much money someone wants to put into it. I mean, we only get one body and one life. So to me, it's really like no holds barred. Like, I mean, you get one chance to take care of this machine that's going to take your, you know, right through your life and enjoy every aspect of it. So, you know, but a typical session can last 25 minutes to 50 minutes. It's up to the people and what's involved. You know, if we're working on shoulder issues or hip issues, we do a lot of pain management at Motions. I mean, when someone walks in the door for the first time, if they put on 80 pounds, they put it on for a reason. And it could have been because they had a bad hip, something that stalled their movement, maybe a psychological problem. So we really need to get through that issue first, clean it up. So if it's a shoulder, we're going to spend a few weeks really making sure the mechanics are great and then move on from there.
And so then once you're kind of up and running, you might see that trainer, once a week and
Yeah.
work out on your own or a couple of times? How does it go?
Yeah, I mean, professionally, I just tell people whatever your goal is. So if time and budget-wise they're available to meet with a professional 3 times a week, I highly suggest it because that's the optimal. I mean, 3 times a week will really get traction and momentum towards a goal. And I think that's what really, you know, halts people during their New Year's resolutions is success and progression. I mean, they're all gung-ho day 1, they finish week 1, and maybe it was pretty good, but then they hit the end of month 1 and it didn't turn out the way they expected. And this is where you need the kind of that optimal guidance. So whatever is the best plan for your suited goal.
Okay. So you started out in fitness, but you've also gotten into nutrition. I understand you've written a book on nutrition.
Yes.
And so, you know, when you come right down to it, if weight is a problem, it's, you know, it's a matter of calories and exercise, but the calories is really a huge part of it, isn't it?
Calories is huge. I mean, it's really 80% of any goal. So with professional athletes I work with around the world to the thousands of weight loss clients, I mean, we're at almost 300,000 pounds of weight loss now with 2,100 pound weight loss clients. People have lost over 100 pounds, dramatic weight loss. And I've really focused in, and I wrote our whole processes and systems in a book for people to understand how it all comes together and to give them that foundation, that knowledge for long-term success. I think people, you know, nowadays, they're tired of quick fixes, they're tired of gimmicks. They want real solutions, sound answers, and to be taken to the end of their journey.
And isn't really one of the keys to successful dieting, you can't just diet and then go back to your old lifestyle. It's really a whole lifestyle change, isn't it?
It is. It's really, these days we do DNA testing, so I don't even have to guess anymore. We can metabolic test your emotions, so I can take a breathalyzer test that tells me exactly how many calories you need for your goal. And then we can do a DNA analysis and we can genetically dial in your nutrition and supplementation to maximize disease prevention, number one, right? Because if we get cancer and we die, well, there's no goal to go after anymore. So it's about disease prevention and then obtaining those big leaps and goals you have.
I think one of the questions people have is, can they still enjoy life? You know, as far as,
It's what it's
you know,
all
people like to go out and eat, people like to, you know, splurge sometimes, I guess you could say, when it comes to eating.
Yep, and we have a saying at Motions, you know, we want to teach you to have your cake and eat it too. We want you to lose that 40 pounds, but we don't want you to lose life in the process. And I think that's what awestrucks people around, especially Marquette and the globe now, is like how people, they never seem like they're deprived. They're not missing out on life. When you talk to our clients, they're like, oh yeah, I went to that birthday, I had a piece of cake. Oh, I went to that celebration, I had a glass of champagne. And that's the biggest thing, but teaching, and that's where the book comes in. We need to teach you the principles, the foundations, so that you understand when it's time to make a choice, you're making the right one.
Okay. Often we hear that before someone starts an exercise regime, they should check with their doctor. How do you feel about that?
It's good, but I mean, any doctor is going to tell you getting moving and starting to eat better is not a bad choice. That's just one more check mark they can make. I mean, the biggest thing when I'm working with physicians, I do a lot of work with physicians all over the world, and that's their thing. They just want people to get moving, and they want them to start working on their nutrition. When you go see the physician, he's got a bunch of other things he's trying to take care of, and the last thing he wants to do is really try to like talk to you about exercise or nutrition. They really want to hear that you're doing it and you're working on it. And then they can make you proud by getting all the analysis, like the blood work and the results, and be super proud of you.
Okay, so I've got some more questions. We'll get to those in just a couple of minutes. Back with more on the Ryan Report after we take this break. Our guest this morning again is Mike Koskanemi, talking about fitness, New Year's resolutions, all the things that go with it. Mike, you know, I think when we think of fitness, sometimes we get pictures of young adults, but really this is for people of every age, right?
It is. There's about 5 generations of people that are exercising right now. The traditionalists are the people born around 1900. Then we go into the baby boomers, and everyone knows that, and that's about 25% of our population. Then we go into Generation X, which is about 25%, and then we go into the millennials, which is about 25%. So, you know, when we're looking at from what age is the best to start exercising, immediately. So as soon as you can start moving, don't stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when's the best time to start exercising? This is a good time, right?
This is great. You know, really, it's all about seasons, you know, and in the Upper Peninsula, we have seasons. We have all 4. And really, when we're talking about transformation or resolutions, we're talking about the seasons that change. I mean, winter is supposed to be long and tough, but to remember, there's always a spring after winter. And spring is opportunity. And right now, I think when people are thinking resolutions, they're thinking that opportunity. But when we think opportunity in spring, spring is short. So you got to grab that opportunity and you got to ride it. And then when we move from spring into summer, summer is where all the magic happens. But there's 2 sides of a coin in summer. And really, in summer, you have to nourish, and that's where growth happens, right? That's when you see everything magical happen. but also you have to protect. I mean, in terms of weight loss and body transformation, this is where maybe sabotage happens. Maybe a friend wants to knock you off course. They're jealous of your 20 pounds of weight loss. Maybe there's other things. So you have to protect what you've gained, but you also have to nourish it. And the only way to hit fall and to receive that harvest is to be strong, be disciplined, and be committed.
And I have to think that winter can be a real dangerous season for a lot of people in the sense of sitting around, not exercising, not getting outdoors.
Yeah.
Maybe even eating more because of that.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, that is a problem, especially in the Upper Peninsula. It depends on our winter. We've been pretty lucky this year, but yeah, physical activity goes down dramatically for everybody. And then, you know, then food consumption goes up, and it's so easy these days between our cabinets and our fridge. I mean, you know, in prehistoric times, we had to chase our food. I mean, fridges don't run too fast these days.
Yeah. You had mentioned a couple of things to me in conversation. One is that we're seeing some decline now in life expectancy.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, for the first time in modern times, we're seeing a decrease in life expectancy, which is very scary, especially for the younger generations. And we're also seeing a decrease in stature, meaning people are getting shorter. So, I mean, and we're seeing another bump in obesity and weight problems, which means people are getting shorter, but they're also getting wider. And that's called BMI. BMI is height versus weight. And the great thing is, in order, you know, and when we look at BMI and say a high BMI is about 30 plus. So if we're looking at disease prevention for stroke, diabetes, heart disease, we can have dramatic effects by just 30 minutes of exercise every day. We can actually have a 10% decrease in the potential of stroke, cancer, and diabetes. So I mean, just for people to start moving and eating better is dramatic.
And really, we're having an epidemic, I think, in obesity, and probably not just in this country, but in other parts of the world as well.
Yeah, everyone's becoming westernized now, so it is becoming a big problem.
I know you also get involved, you know, with pain management, which kind of brings to mind the fact that all of this stuff really ties together, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, when people walk in the door now, they're looking for solutions. I mean, they want to have no knee pain, no shoulder pain, no hip pain. So it's up to us, and I've devised many methods now where I can actually facilitate an immediate change. So someone that's been dealing with maybe sciatica or plantar fasciitis for a long time, within 15 to 30 seconds, I can facilitate an immediate change. And then in terms of weight loss, I mean, our results speak themselves. Everyone's seen commercials and the people that walk all over our beautiful city. And we've really put together some amazing procedures for people to follow in order to lose that weight and gain all the health benefits.
And really, when we talk about fitness, we're really talking about some lifestyle changes, aren't we? It's not a temporary fix.
No, it's all behavior change. So you got to give yourself time. You know, you got to give yourself to room to grow, to adjust. But like we talked earlier, you have to have someone to hold you accountable. You know, if we're the ones weighing ourselves, you know, it's going to be okay that we put another 2 pounds on, another 3 pounds on. We need someone to say, no, it's not okay, and here's how we're going to change that, and we're going to do it positively.
We have less than 30 seconds. What would you say to that person who's kind of, I'm not sure, maybe I should do it, maybe?
I'm going to say, get started right now. I'm going to take you by the hand, and we're going to progress. We're going to crawl, walk, and then run. And we don't need to do it all today. We can take as long as we need to take, but just get started today.
Okay. And there are many options for people out there. We've certainly talked about your organization, but there are other choices if people are looking for those as well.
Yeah. My biggest thing is to find the best professional for you.
Okay. Mike, thanks very much for coming in and talking to us this morning. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Hopefully we've given people some thoughts about how they can approach this new year. I'll be back with some more thoughts for you after we take this break. You know, whenever I get thinking about our physical fitness focus in American life, I can't help but chuckle to myself about the dichotomy of the lifestyles we live. Let me make it clear that I include myself in that group. We keep looking for and devising ways to make things physically easier for ourselves in the way we conduct our lives. And then we try to find the time and the ways to get physical exercise. Today we have more of us who are overweight than at any time in our history. At the same time, we have more places to work out and exercise than we've ever had. Can you remember those old Western movies? When the cameras panned the town, you could see some bars, a general store, a jail, but you never saw a gym or a place to work out. Of course, there was a reason. Life provided all the exercise we needed, and then some. After a day of herding cows and planting fields, Without the benefit of the equipment we have today, the last thing anyone needed to do was to go home and work out. More likely they would head home and pass out. There are still a lot of people who do put in a hard day of physical work, but there are a lot less of them. In any case, this is the time of year when we think about all those things we struggle with and whether we want to make changes. A while back, Time magazine put together a list of the most frequently failed New Year's resolutions. The list includes some very familiar ones: lost weight, quit smoking, eat healthier and diet, but they aren't all focused on physical fitness. Some of the others include learn something new, and there's a nice idea. Get out of debt and save money, always a good idea if it applies to you. Spend more time with family, travel to new places, be less stressed, volunteer, and drink less. I'm guessing that last one they're not talking about water. So as we kick off another year, we can all decide if this is the year we're going to try to make some big changes in our lives. The nice thing is it's really up to you. If you do, good luck. And here's one other resolution you might consider. Get up early every Sunday morning so you don't miss the Ryan Report. You know what Benjamin Franklin said? Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. I'm not sure I can help with the healthy and wealthy part, but you could be a little wiser if you watch. And while we're quoting Ben Franklin, and related to our discussion this morning, he also said, "To lengthen thy life, lessen thy meals." I think we'll leave it there for today. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Well, I hope you enjoyed our conversation this morning about starting the new year right. I appreciate Mike Koskanemi joining us to provide some good insights into what's involved. If you decide you want to make some changes, there are a lot of options out there, so pick out one that works for you. Just about time to wrap it up on this, our first show for the brand new year. Today's show is anxious to get started. They'll be along in just a minute. There is time to remind you that you can also see us on the internet if you should miss the show or want to see it again. Just go to uppermichigansource.com, click on the Features tab, and you can find us. And if you have any thoughts you'd like to share with us, our email address is theryanreport@chesstv.com. That's it for now. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and will join us again next Sunday morning.